Okay, so we already looked at Steve Scalise turning a question about Marjorie Taylor Greene's outrageous comments into an answer about China, Joe Biden, and carbon. Let's now go to our second example of the day. This is Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace asked on Fox News about the ludicrous things that Marjorie Taylor Greene has said. Remember, we've uncovered videos of Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about Jewish space lasers as the cause for California wildfires. Marjorie Taylor Greene being a 9/11 denier. Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about political violence as a good thing, as something that needs to be done, on and on and on. Republicans are being asked to comment. Nancy Mace is a Republican congresswoman from South Carolina. Some believed, not me, but some believed that she was a more moderate, rational voice in the Republican Party. She went on Fox News yesterday. She was asked about Marjorie Taylor Greene's comments, and she actually, to her credit, she seemed to concede that Marjorie Taylor Greene is crazy, but she played the both sides game, saying there are crazy people on both sides, and then gave a number of false equivalencies. So let's take a look.
But there are crazies on both sides of the aisle. We've seen that. It's not just Republicans that have our own issues. Democrats have them, too. We've seen Maxine Waters tell folks to go and threaten and harm members of the Trump administration. Right. We've seen crazies on both sides of the aisle. We do have to, I think, address some of these issues. But, some of these things, and I'm learning about them today and this week, too, were said before she was elected and Georgia voters still elected her. Just a few years ago, we saw another Democrat from Georgia, Cynthia McKinney, assault a Capitol Hill police officer, and nothing was done after that either. So we've got to look at precedent. We've got to have this conversation. We have to address it. And if we do a better job of holding ourselves accountable, we can also hold the left accountable as well. We have to have that moral authority, and that means addressing some of these situations.
So listen, if you need me to find something positive about that, she does seem to be saying that Marjorie Taylor Greene is crazy. She is drawing false equivalencies to Maxine Waters, though, and also saying this stuff was said before Marjorie Greene was elected is not particularly relevant. This is gaslighting. This is whataboutism, two-side stuff, and it's a complete farce. And at least she's admitting Marjorie Taylor Greene is crazy, but Maxine Waters never followed around an 18-year-old kid that was at a school during a school shooting, accusing that kid of wanting to take her guns away, as Marjorie Taylor Greene did to David Hogg. Maxine Waters never said that there were wildfires started by, I don't know, Catholic space lasers or anything like that. And by the way, even if these examples from the other side were equivalent, they're in the past, and they have nothing to do with Nancy Mace and Republicans now dealing with Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is in her own party at this point in time. Nancy Mace actually has a sort of clever approach to a lot of these interviews. I've seen other interviews where when Nancy Mace is asked what you would think are questions she really has to answer, she'll sort of fast talk through a bunch of distortions and lies. It's sort of a Gish Gallop technique. And very often anchors or interviewers either don't have the wherewithal or skill to point it out, or just don't have the time, because a lot of these segments last, 4 minutes. It's hard to refute 6 lies in 4 minutes. And Nancy Mace used very similar talking points on CNN over the weekend. They are terrible talking points, but she is getting away with them. And as I said before, I am disgusted that Republicans, even with these people, aren't just straight up calling them out and saying there's no room for this insanity in the Republican Party. Obviously, it's disappointing they're not doing that. I'm not surprised that they're not doing it. But there is a political calculation happening here where, to some degree, I think they believe the further they get from January 6th, the further they get from Trump being in office, the more they can kind of just shut their mouths about these people and claim that they're about legislation and they're about stopping socialism and government takeovers of healthcare and reducing the deficit, all that stuff that they pretend to care about, and just sort of not comment on people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Madison Cawthorn, and others. So ultimately, I believe that the test as to whether these radical new members of Congress will become a significant part of the Republican Party will be whether they get reelected in 2022. Democrats do have a path to expelling these folks from committee assignments. But it would take Republicans to really be able to get them out of the House of Representatives. I don't expect it to happen. We talked on the bonus show yesterday about how there have only been 5 expulsions in the history of the House. 3 of them were in the 1800s against members who were straight up supporting the Confederacy. The other 2 were in the 20th century. Was one of them in the 21st? The other 2 were in the modern political era, and they were for members of Congress who had actually been convicted of crimes. And so I am not optimistic at all that we are going to see these folks expelled. Of course, it says a lot about the Republican Party that they're unwilling to really take a stand against them, but that's not particularly surprising to me. I'd be shocked if it were to you, if you've been paying attention to what has happened to the Republican Party, even casually over the last few years. We will take a quick break. Much more coming up in just moments.